I'm going to shoot my shot here and ask you about D Ford and what your level of concern is, or if you know the reasoning as to his absence from practice today.
Not overly concerned. Kyle and the performance staff will get that all out to you guys soon.
So are you saying it wasn't a vet day, the reason that he didn't practice today?
It's again, guys, I'll leave it up for Kyle and those guys. But from my understanding, there's no concern.
Hey, Robert, I realize this is the other side of the ball, but there's a block that Trent Williams threw in the game the other day that's kind of making the rounds. A lot of people saw it. I'm wondering if did you guys watch that in a team meeting? Did you see it? What was the reaction like when that happened, and what did you see in it?
I saw. I think we all saw it. Awesome. I don't know many human beings his size who can do something like that to a linebacker. Nonetheless, usually you see those guys rolling out on DBs, but not a linebacker. But no hesitation, run through another human being like he wasn't even there. It was awesome. So it's football.
Robert, I know we're going back a little bit, but it didn't work out with Ziggy Ansah. Was there anything? Was it financial? Was it him not fitting in? I know he's got a connection with Chris Kasarik. What happened there?
Again, that's more for John and Kyle. There's whatever discussions happen. I'm not part of that, so it's that'd be more of a question for them.
Hey, Robert, could you take us back to the play and explain the blown coverage on DeAndre Hopkins' final catch, where he was able to get through and nobody tracked him across the middle?
Yeah,
got him to the 1-yard line.
We called man coverage, and the huddle call didn't get out to the defensive backs. So that's just an egregious mistake across the board, all the way starting with me, obviously. But it wasn't. I mean, obviously it's a lack of communication, but it wasn't a coverage bust. It was just a complete blown call, and so yeah, that's unfortunate. It happened when it did.
Hi, Robert. A lot of your defenders talked about how tired they were, and I guess understandably so, with 78 or 80 snaps. When you've gotten a chance to watch the film, at what point did you see that defense really start to get fatigued and broken down? Was there, a snap count there around the 60s or 70s where that became really apparent on film?
I felt like we were rolling along pretty good. There were two plays in particular that kind of that really, I don't know if you want to put the bear on our back, if you want to call it. It was that 3rd and 10 backed up. We're off the field. We get called for holding on Hopkins, and then on the 2nd and 21, Kerry Hyder on they scramble for about 6 yards, so it's going to be 3rd and 15, which is very favorable for us, and we get called for a foul on the sliding quarterback with Kerry Hyder. Those two plays combined added about, I think it was 18 or 20 plays to the defense in a very short amount of time. So we approached 50 in the second half. So it wasn't apparent until the very last drive, where it was just where you saw the blown coverage, some communication issues pop up, just from, if you want to call it fatigue. There was a lot. It became a lot there in the last drive is when I noticed it.
Hey, Robert, it's a very small sample size, but without Richard Sherman, the last 2 seasons, you guys are 0-3. Obviously, it's an impact because he's very good. Does not having him, does it change your approach or what you do in the secondary?
From a leadership standpoint, for sure, just having him out there, his communication skills and all the things that he does, locker room, adjustments on the field, communicating on the sideline, all those different things. That's where he's better than anybody in football. Obviously there's going to be some things that possibly can change. There might not be any changes. So it's I'll kind of leave the game plan part in my back pocket. But losing someone like Sherman, obviously, it is a very big deal.
Hey, Coach Saleh, it might not have shown up in the stat sheet, but wanted to know your impressions of Javon Kinlaw's NFL debut, and how do you want to see him progress in the coming weeks?
I we were very pleased with J.K. and how he performed. I know it doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but I mean, he played with a tremendous amount of violence. He made a couple of plays in there that didn't show up on the stat sheet. There aren't many humans that can do what he did. He had he had 2 fantastic pass rushes. Quarterback obviously got rid of the ball pretty quick, so it goes unnoticed. But he'd won clean. And so we're very excited for him. He just needs to continue to find ways to get better and not get caught up on stats. It's about putting your best foot forward every single play and trusting that the results will come. But people see tape. They know what's happening.
Hey, Robert, you faced Kyler Murray 3 times now, and you haven't done a great job of containing his scrambles. What's the coaching point for your, defensive lineman in particular the next time you face him and scrambling quarterbacks like him?
It's whenever you play a scrambling quarterback, you really have to honor the level of the quarterback as a pass rusher. So it really starts at the level at the defensive end spot, and it's you want to rush and capture a corner and try to get over the top with speed. But when you do that, you open up those B gaps. You just think about there's 4 pass rushers, you've got 5 lanes that you have to defend, and so you're always going to be a gap short. And so for those guys, understanding the level of the quarterback, we had a couple of cover me's where it's a large human being out in space on the quarterback. We had one with DJ Jones playing cover me, which when he gets flushed, he's right there to swoop him up. But Kyler's a special player, and he's going to do that to a lot of people for a very long time. But we do have to do a better job containing him and keeping him in the pocket, and it starts at that defensive end spot.
Hey, Robert. Robert, you guys stuck to base a lot. That maybe surprised some people, given that the Cardinals spread it out more than any other offensive in the NFL. Can you explain why you guys stuck to base despite how many receivers they throw out there?
They played a lot of 2 tight end sets, and they still, I think people misunderstand a lot about Arizona. They do run a power style football game, and you do have to stop their run game. They run and will screen you to death if you let them. And coming out of the game, felt really good about the way we handled their run game. I know there's a lot of yards. I think 100 of them were scrambling, though. When they actually had a designed run, it was less than 4 yards a carry. Their screen game is a big part of what they do, getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands quickly. And so those are things that they do. And if you get small on them when they go 12 personnel, they can turn it into a power game very quickly. So they're pretty dynamic in the way they do things, and it's a good system that they've got. So.
Hey, Robert, Frank Gore is going to start against you. He's 37 years old, right? Probably real close to you. Do you expect every year this will be his last season? And I don't know. Do you have a Frank Gore memory for through the years?
Frank got a tremendous amount of respect for him. Obviously, I've never had a chance to really interact with him, but all I've heard from people around this building and people who've interacted with him in different buildings, that he is the first one in, last one out, takes unbelievable care of his body, and has such a deliberate approach to the game and the way he approaches every single day. And so it's no surprise that when you have people who are built that way, they do last as long as they have. And when you turn on the tape, he's still the same patient, physical, downhill running back that he's been his entire career. And I'm pumped for him that he gets to continue to live out his childhood dream, and excited for us that we get the challenge to go tackle him.
Robert, it's been said that you guys were making the decision with the number 2 pick in the 2019 draft between Nick and Quinnen Williams. Obviously, it seems like it's working out, but how do you reflect on that decision, and how close was it between those 2 guys?
Quinnen's coming out of college. Quinnen was an unbelievable football player. I still think sky's the limit for him, but for us, it was Bosa or bust, to be honest with you, if he was there. I mean, I don't know if there was much indecision. I think the entire organization was on the same page with that one.
Do 2 more for Coach?
Robert, what is the most challenging thing that you're presented with when you're facing the Jets this Sunday?
You know, the Adam Gase is a. I know he's. Some people might say differently, but I think he's a fantastic offensive play caller. He creates a lot of dynamic concepts. Their quarterback is getting a lot better, and so they will stress your defense. They do. He does understand defensive football. He understands scheme. He understands how to attack coverages, and he does as good a job as anybody doing it. And so when you just talk about challenge, it's eliminating the explosives that he's going to find within your defense and making sure that you're on top and covering things and playing disciplined football. And the quarterback is good enough to exploit it if you let him. So they've had great games against our system in the past. When you look back to last year with Dallas and when he was with Miami playing Jacksonville and all that stuff. So he's a very, very talented offensive mind, and he's got a very talented quarterback. So that in itself will always be a challenge.
What is the thinking, or what's the advantage of playing field and boundary cornerback this year? Why switch it up this season?
You know, there was the field corner in our scheme plays with a lot more vision, and so when you look at the corners and the corners that we have, some guys can play with a lot of vision. For example, Sherman had 4 of his 5 interceptions when he was playing the field last year, where he played with vision and he could go take things. He's got an unbelievable skill set to be able to go do that. So to be able to have guys who play with vision, who have the mental makeup to be able to play routes and play the game with the quarterback, to get another set of eyes where we can go get the football, felt like that would be a very advantageous thing for us to do this season, as opposed to left and right and not taking advantage of the skill set that each player has.